Get ready for your next big game. Let Ralph's help make game time a little easier. Place your order today for ready-made party platters at your neighborhood Ralph's Deli or at ralphs.com/order online. Jordan Moore, John Jackson, joined by the head coach now, Clay Helton. And we had a little therapy session earlier. JJ is relaxed. He was ready to press the panic button, Coach. But I know you are the steadying hand, and it needs to be the steadying hand on this ship. So. You can tell everybody now how this thing's going to get turned around and get better week by week here.
Well, each week I feel like we're getting a little bit better. I saw that go from Alabama to Utah State, and even in the Stanford game, I saw improvement. Especially, I thought the most improvement was with the offensive line, especially in the run game versus physical run defense that we played at average over 5 yards a carry, and pick up pressures, unique pressures that Stanford brings to you. We had 1 sack in the game, but overall, I thought the offensive line played their best game and really took a step forward. We moved the ball in that game, but shot ourselves in the foot. Really did. The penalties, we knew it was going to be a very few possessions. You have 4 total possessions in the first half. You're moving the ball, but then you end up 0 for 4 on 3rd down because of 3rd and long situations. So sad about us miscuing and really beating ourselves.
Obviously, a huge announcement today. You put Sam Darnold, named Sam Darnold the starter, for the Utah game. First of all, I guess what went into the decision, and what do you expect from Sam that you might not have been getting from Max?
Well, I think every head coach has got to look exactly what's going on, and I evaled the first 3 games and looked at our performance offensively. Max Brown is not the reason we're 1-2. He is. The way he competed was unbelievably honorably, and there's no brutally bad things that went on. It just the ball didn't move and it didn't move into the end zone. You look at the Alabama game and Stanford game, we scored 1 touchdown, and we need a spark. We need a spark on offense, and to be able to see Sam play in 3 games and see how he performed, kind of unknown. Knew he was talented, but then to step in with poise and see the ball move with him. I felt like it was the time to make that change.
And one thing that I did say while I was on the edge, Coach,
you said exactly this. You said it's not Max's fault, and Coach would say it's not Max's fault.
Yeah, it's not Max's fault. Is it a situation where, quarterbacks always say this, and I know that you'll agree with half of this. They get too much credit when you win,
yes.
and they get too much blame when you lose.
Yes.
Is that sort of the situation here with him?
Quarterbacks and coaches.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the same thing.
That's true.
And I've played both positions.
That's right.
And, but that's the way it is. It's the reality of football. It's a production-based business, and I just was so appreciative, one, about the way Max handled it, not only with the media, but how he practiced today, came out like a pro, trying to get our team better in every asset. I mean, he's just one of the true class people I've ever been around, and I love the confidence that Sam took today in practice. I mean, just stepped right in and took ownership like he had been doing it for 20 years. And so really excited, really excited to see how it unfolds, and really excited to see Sam take the field this week.
Do you change your offensive system at all to fit his increased mobility? Is that possible even to do in 3 days, or how do you handle putting him in the best situation to succeed?
Yeah, we had already had some of those packages in, as we know, with the red zone package and him being able to be not only a runner, but as you can see, he's an elite passer with great anticipation and great arm strength. And, he's become an every down quarterback, and the threat of both the run, the ability to run and pass creates an added weapon in our offense. And he's handled live situations extremely well, some of the grandest venues you could have against an Alabama and a Stanford, and he's handled it extremely well. So I look forward to seeing how it moves forward.
And he made some nice throws in the Stanford game as well. Was that sort of the tipping point that sort of pushed you over to say, hey, maybe we need to give this guy a full-time chance?
Well, the way it's all based on performance, and every time he's stepped in the game, he's performed. I mean, there's a couple like you said, a couple of the throws in the Stanford game, you just went, wow. Yeah. And even the interception at the end, the anticipation that to pull the trigger and where he located that ball, it just take the most unusual hop I've seen in a long time. But he put that ball where really it was us or nobody, and gave the receiver a chance chance to make a play.
And the other thing I read, and you can correct me certainly if I'm wrong, that you may use number 2, Adoree Jackson, a little bit more to spark this offense as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think right now you have to evaluate and be able to use every weapon you can. And so the ability to you could see it the other night when 2 came in the game, and they're in one high, and the free safety ran straight to them, and then there's Darius and Juju running wide open down the middle of the field, and we just don't hook up. But just to open those guys up, everybody runs to him, and it opens other guys up. So you got to be able to use them.
Yeah, Juju had his left hand held on that play,
Yeah.
but nobody else saw that. Forget it. But stay with Juju a little bit. I liked your comment on this. You heard an entire offseason of, this year you're finally going to spread the ball around, and then now the ball's being spread around, and all you get is, why don't you throw it to Juju more?
Yeah.
So what's the happy balance there? Because, listen, you have a All-American caliber receiver. I know
Yeah.
you want him to impact the game, but you want the ball spread around to the open guy. What's the happy balance there?
It's never going to be perfect. I've learned that over 21 years of being an offensive coach. But it's about winning games and being able to get it in your playmakers' hands and attempting to. I'll be honest with you, we just haven't hooked up right now thus far. Tried to get Juju down our right boundary one time and with a one-on-one situation, and we didn't hook up. And then again down the middle of the field, plays are being designed. We've got to just do a better job of hooking up, to be honest with you.
Now, where is this team in terms of identity? And I know that's one of the things that you sort of can't answer that question until we get a couple games in the season. Do you know where we're at in terms of identity? I mean, I know what you want to be, but are we there yet? And what is it going to take to get there?
No, obviously, we're not. I thought first half-wise, the balance I really liked. It was 12 runs, 12 passes. We were running the ball effectively, and just the penalties were the one that end up catching us. I think the numbers get skewed a little bit. Any time that you're down in the fourth quarter, you're going to start slinging it around, and that's where I think the numbers got skewed at the end of the game. But totally I want to be a balanced offense that can use a Justin Davis and a Ronald Jones like we did, but then have the effectiveness to be able to push the ball downfield and create big plays.
All right, well, that's a lot on the Stanford game. We have a new opponent this week in Utah, so we'll talk about the Utes a bit when we come back. You're listening to the head coach, Clay Helton, on Trojans Live.
Trojans Live.
All right, one more big segment with the head coach here, Jordan Moore, John Jackson, and Clay Helton on Trojans Live. And it doesn't get any easier this week. I mean, there is something people need to understand, obviously. You play the national champions in a neutral site. You play the Pac-12 champions in a road game. So it's not exactly like everyone across the nation is playing the same schedule. With that said, your next one is a top 25 matchup on a short week against an extremely physical team in a tough place to play. And as you work with your offensive line that was struggling with false starts, how do you handle all these outside things and you going into a hostile atmosphere and when you need a win?
Yeah, we got a couple things going on in this game that could happen. One, anytime I think you step in Rice-Eccles Stadium, and just haven't been in it a couple times on a Friday night, it's a unique atmosphere.
Remember the 2012 game?
Ooh, mercy.
They were behind 14-0 before the opening kick.
There's a lot of people bouncing and jumping around. They do a good job of it. But it's something that, we filtered crowd noise in today's practice. And the other facet that looks like it's going to happen is we're going to get rain.
Yeah.
And so we did wet ball drills today, receivers, center quarterback, running backs, specialist, holders, kickers. I mean, everything just in preparation for that. So you got a couple things going on.
How's the mindset of this team? I mean, it's obviously a frustrating loss to Stanford. How's the mindset of the players just in general, and how'd they respond when you met with them today?
I think they're frustrated, but I'll say this: being with them now, my 7th season, when they get frustrated, they usually play extremely well, and today was by far our best practice, especially offensively. I watched a lot of the offensive side of the ball, and it was a tremendous practice. And this bunch, usually when their backs are against the wall, they fight on.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to it. I expect great things from them this week.
If Stevie T has trouble getting snaps at Utah, it makes me nervous about his Utah defensive line because he's a good one. And they generated 10 sacks last week, second in the nation with 15 sacks. How do they generate so much pressure?
Well, one, they're very extremely well coached. I think Kyle Whittingham does a tremendous job. He's a defensive coach by trade, and every time we play him, they're assignment sound and they're ultra aggressive. You're going to see a loaded box. They play cover 1 and cover 3 every snap to stop the run. They believe in pressure. They bring 5 and 6 man pressures from everywhere to try to get to your quarterback, and they have good pass rushers. And they do a tremendous job. They've been known for their defense for years, and have really made a name for themselves in the Pac-12.
The challenge obviously being put on the offensive line to play, but they, I thought, played their best game, last weekend. Is this starting to turn into the offensive line we thought we were going to, have, coming into the season?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. That first drive was right up my alley.
Yep.
All of a sudden you go 4 runs in a row and you make 2 first downs, and you start feeling that momentum of, okay, really good. So that's something I hope we can continue and would expect to continue. I think they're getting better by the day and gelling together by the day, and did a very nice job. In Stanford. I hope it carries over to Utah.
Yeah, and I know we talked about this after the game, but now after you've had a chance to watch the tape, the running opportunities that you had, did you like what you saw on tape? And now, we're playing Monday morning quarterback now. Would the game plan be, hey, we should have just stayed with it?
Well, a little bit when you get into those penalties, and all of a sudden it's 2nd and long and 3rd and long. That changes the dynamic of anything. It's a lot different game when it's 3rd and 1, 2, 3. That's a different mindset. That's a different game, and that's where we have to get to. Where we're able to make the 3rd and manageables rather than shooting ourselves in the foot for 3rd and long.
What do the Utes do well offensively?
I tell you what, I've been impressed, one, with the big receiver. Does a tremendous job, number 12. He already got 4 touchdowns on the year. One of the bigger receivers in our conference at 6'5", 210. Troy Williams, who we know well, right here from Los Angeles, from Narbonne High School, is dealing it around and can get extremely hot at times. They use the quick game, the run-pass options, or the RPOs, and he throws a tremendous deep ball. I've been impressed with him for a long time, and it's good to see him back going well again after leaving Washington, getting his opportunity again. Running back-wise, they've got 2 new backs that we haven't been against. They're both kind of jitterbugs, got good electric speed, and have done some nice things. And the offensive line is coming together. I think it's one that they've moved some pieces. They've brought in a junior college tackle, that's moved to center. So I think that team's starting to come together and gel together.
Talk about the elements when you go to Utah. I mean, I know it's a mile high or the high elevation. Can you prepare for that, or is that just something you have to get used to when you get there?
Really, the thing I'm concentrating more on is just the speed of the game. I thought last week it helped us offensive line-wise. We went more against each other, offense and defensively, and really concentrating more on that. And so we did it again today, and just to help every player on the team see great looks. When you get to altitude, it's going to hit everybody. But, you depend on your conditioning and what you've done all off-season to put you in position to play well.
All right, Coach, you feel that sense of urgency from your team that you're looking for?
There's no question. There's no question. You felt it all day today. You got a team that's extremely focused and wish we were going there even sooner.
Yes.
They're ready to play.
Short week. I'm sure you're happy to have a little time to game plan, though. That's for sure. You'll fly on Thursday, and then Friday night, tee it up, 6 o'clock out here in the Pacific time zone, 7 o'clock where we'll be in the Mountain time zone. So JJ and I will go on at 4 o'clock Pacific, and we will take you through it as the Trojans need a big W on the road at Utah. We thank the coach, as always, for joining us. We'll be back to wrap up Trojans Live next.